Role-playing as part of a training activity can be highly effective in transferring skills and engaging your learners. I'll explain how to do that in this video. Hello, I'm Stephen Goldberg of Optimist Performance, bringing you practical tips and ideas on leadership, team development, and employee performance in the workplace. I recently had a request to propose a workshop for a potential client on how to make a great sales pitch. And I thought of using role-playing for this training activity. So I'm going to run through how I plan to deliver the workshop. The first thing you want to do is your research on the subject. Now, you don't need to be a subject matter expert to deliver a good training program. I'm a facilitator, and I could probably take any type of subject matter and turn it into an exercise that will engage the learners and transfer the knowledge they need. Now, I would probably consult a subject matter expert or do some research and have a discussion with an expert in that field to validate my research. So in this case, how to make a great sales pitch, I did some research, and one of the subjects I found on this topic was from Steve Jobs. A lot of people have analyzed his ways of making a sales pitch, and he was famous for making great sales pitches and selling the next new Apple device. So I'm going to use that as a handout, and that's part of the process. I'm going to make also a free download available that you could follow step by step to actually make this happen. So the first step is really to do your research on the subject matter. Then you want to prepare from that a handout that you'll give to the participants. So once assembled in the workshop area, the first thing I suggest you do is to have somebody from the company who's an authority, could be in this case, the owner, the director of sales, come forward and explain why this training is taking place and why it's important for the learners to participate. That's always a good step. If you don't have somebody from the company, you could do it yourself as the facilitator, but it's always great to have an authority from the company to explain that. Then I would explain how the activity is going to unfold, and I would hand out the handout that goes through, let's say in this case, 7 top tips or tactics from Steve Jobs on how to make a great sales pitch. I would have them do a discussion to see if they want to modify something or add to it according to their own industry. So that's the first part. Then I would divide people into triads, groups of 3, and assign a role for each person. Well, they would pick their roles to start with. So one role would be the salesperson who's going to be making the pitch. Another role would be the customer, and a third role would be the judge. So obviously the role of the salesperson is to make the pitch, incorporating what was in the handout. The client is going to interact with them, and then the judge is just going to observe, take notes, to give feedback on how well the salesperson made the pitch according to the criteria in the handout or the added criteria from the input of the participants. Then you would allot so many minutes to have the activity unfold, and you would then have a few minutes to get feedback. Now, how many minutes you accord would depend on how much time you have for the workshop and how many people are there in the activity. Now, if you have a large group, the activity would unfold, let's say 5 to 10 minutes for the salesperson to make the pitch. And then there would be a few minutes of feedback. I suggest if you have several triads, if you can have a flip chart for each group, and that way they can make notes of the feedback from the judge. Obviously, the customer can also give their input as well. If you don't have flip charts, you could have flip chart paper or other paper and just write it down. It's good to record this so the person playing the role of the salesperson can take that with them and have that as a reference to work on improving their sales pitch or whatever it is that you're role playing. Now, if you have a very small group, you don't need to divide everybody into groups of 3. You could have the person come up to the front of the room and then have somebody up there as being the customer and everybody else will be the judge. And then you could give feedback to the whole room. The client that I'm going to be working with, there are only 5 people doing the sales pitches, so I will do it that way, have 2 people, one being the salesperson and the other being the customer, and the others 3 being the judges. Now, I'll also probably act as a judge as well. So each person then should take turns being the salesperson and the client. So that way everybody gets to practice. Then you want to debrief the exercise and discuss why these points are important and give them some time to plan how they're going to apply what they've learned, what they've experienced, when they're going to be doing a real sales pitch. And you want to encourage them to get together on their own and practice as well. It's not just enough to go through the workshop. You want to get them committed to practicing as well. So that's basically it. Role-playing is very effective for any type of interpersonal skills like sales presentations, communication, to improve listening. That's a great way to do a role play. Conflict resolution, all these types of interpersonal skills. Role playing is really a great way to enhance the training and get people to practice in a safe environment. So I hope this gives you some ideas on ways to incorporate role-playing in your training activities, rather than just making a presentation and getting people's input, getting them acting out the exercise, the skill is a great way to enhance the transfer of learning. So go to the link in the description of the video if you want to download my guide that you could refer back to build your own exercise around the topic that would be good for your learners that you want to facilitate. So if you haven't already subscribed, do so now. Turn on notifications to get news of new videos. I have a lot of videos on how to conduct training and also how to do a training needs analysis. Check those out. I have one listed here that you could check out next. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk again soon.